So first things first here, and everyone wants to know, you obviously aren't playing any water polo right now. So what's it like to be a part of Team USA when there's no practice, there's no game? What is daily life like right now?
As a team, our team has really done a good job. Like we've really been committed to like connectivity, like all throughout the group, from the top down, from like the staff, even starting with like Coach Abdu, like the chief high performance officer, to our team manager Lori. Like they put together a nice team site for us, and we've got a calendar going through the week. So, for example, yesterday we had a meeting with our sports psychologist, Brian Alexander, where we discussed kind of like our team's purpose, team values, and things like that, and our goals moving forward. This morning, we actually had a workout with Chris Bates and Steven Schwartz, our athletic performance chief like officers, you could in that regard. And yeah, we were on the bridge out this morning working with like some blood flow restriction and doing other body weight stuff to just kind of stay sharp while we are outside of the water. And then even with like the coaching staff, like with Dayon, A-Rod, and Gavin, we've had assignments given out that will just help us grow both technically and tactically, individually, and as a team. We've been reviewing 5 games from World Championships. We started with our first game in Kazakhstan, then moved on to Croatia, followed by Australia, then Greece, and our final game, Montenegro. So, I mean, we've definitely stayed busy in this time, and
Sure.
like we're just keeping out of schedules, like keep us really busy here and continue to grow when we're outside the water.
So many people are missing water polo. You're amongst them. You've been playing pretty consistently now for a number of years. I know you're staying connected. You're talking to your teammates, but for all those kids out there that are just, they're really missing the sport. How, even at your level, how do you stay motivated every day to still stay engaged and get that workout on in on your own, or do the team messaging? How do you
Yeah.
stay motivated to stay involved?
I think a good way to stay involved and stay engaged with the game is just to try to watch the game, try to be a student of the game. I mean, there's tons of water polo on YouTube, on the LEN Champions League website, on FINA TV if you've got the subscription of that. And like, if you can become a student of the game early, like that's something that I still try to pride myself on being a student of the game, trying to pick up things here and there, trying to see what other players in the world are doing well. So if this is something that you can kind of establish and maybe be like a part of yourself now, it's something that will continue to have benefits for you like as you continue to grow, because when you stop growing it's like when you're going to get past or when you start dying. So just trying to continue to grow, become a student of the game, and get better. I mean, I even just saw Wolf Weigo. He posted like a great video on USA Water Polo, just like the small stuff that you can do at home that can actually make a really big difference. So if you haven't had a chance to check out that video, I definitely check it out.
Talking with Max Irving, member of Team USA, former UCLA Bruin. I love your story because I think you can look back at the last, now it's probably 7 years, 6 years of your life, and you can see the progression from someone that has worked hard, right, to get from where you were to where you are. We've talked about this before, but you think back to your early days at UCLA, and I know that Adam Wright talks about this photo of you in the stands watching the team win the championship, and then the next year you're celebrating a title with the Bruins. And I'm curious, what was that journey like for you to go from someone who couldn't crack the travel roster to then someone who became a vital part of the team? Was it a change? Did you do something differently? Was it a mindset? How did it happen?
I mean, yeah, well, I received obviously a lot of encouragement from Adam Wright, my teammates at the time. And then all it takes is honestly, it just takes, you just have to make a difference. You have to just kind of change things the way things are going. Just start with one day. Like, all right, today I'm going to swim faster. I'm going to try to win this. I'm going to try to work my legs a little harder. I'm going to try to place this ball right where I want it to go. I'm really going to take the passing seriously today. And yeah, I mean, just the difference 1 year can really make. So like a lot of guys right now might be a time where you could just kick back, kind of do nothing. But I know that there's players in the world, there's players at the high school level, at the club level, and at the college level that will come back from this break, this quarantine break, or whatever you want to call it, and they're going to be better. I mean, so it's just a simple commitment to the game, to hard work, and to trying to continue and improve with everything you're doing. I mean, there's no secret formula to it. Everything's out there for your disposal. So you just kind of have to go out there, work hard, just have the faith that you will continue to improve and get better.
We've talked with a lot of athletes that have played college water polo or still playing college. A lot of people that watch this want to play college water polo. That's their goal. And I'm curious when you think back to your time, as you got to your senior year, junior senior year, and you think back on your career as a whole, was there something that you did? Was it simple as just having the faith and working hard every day? Was there something else you did that you felt like made the difference? A piece of advice you could share with other players?
Well, even since I was honestly in high school, I've always had great role models. And I came from Long Beach, which has a rich aquatic
Yeah.
tradition. I mean, just even Wilson, Adam Wright went there, Tony Azevedo, Shai Cordell, Robert Lane, and those are just Olympians to name a few, and other guys who went on to play in college. So, I mean, I've always kind of looked up to guys like that. And even when I was at UCLA with guys like Paul Reynolds, Cristiano Mariarchi, and other guys like that. So, like, I've always had great role models to kind of show me, like, where hard work can really take you, and then just really trying to commit to that and kind of commit to that process and really challenging myself every day, because I know, like, maybe something might not be going for you that well in training. Like, let's say if you're swimming super hard, but then for the rest of the training, passing, shooting, it might not be going as well as you would want it to. So yeah, Scott Swanson, Jack Rover just jumped in there. But if you do those things on a daily basis and continue to, like, grow your foundation of where you can go, and you can go a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further the next day, then you're going to put yourself right where you need to be come, like, towards the end of the season or tryouts or whatever it may be.
You mentioned coming from Long Beach, California, and for those that don't know, right, that is in some ways the epicenter of water polo, or at one point in the U.S., that's where it seemed like so many great players came from. What sort of benefit was it to you to come from that area, but then also what sort of expectations come with being a Long Beach water polo player?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a great honor to be from Long Beach and to have this kind of tradition behind me, and I just really want to be able to try to add and persist and keep this and perpetuate this tradition that is Long Beach water polo. So yeah, so it's great. I really love being a part of it. I've always had really great coaches, even from, like, playing Long Beach Shore when I was very young. I mean, Robert Lane was the assistant men's national team coach. So, and then that was my coach for, like, 12 and unders, 14 and unders. So, I mean, I've always been around, like, good water polo. So I've been very fortunate, being taught the game, like, maybe more like by some of the best coaches. And yeah, I mean, it's great to be from Long Beach. A lot to look up to, and a lot that I want to contribute to and continue to push forward.
We're talking with Max Irving. We'll take some of your questions here soon if you have them, talking about his time with the national team with UCLA. As you progress now, we're talking post college now and work your way onto the national team. We've talked a lot about the mental aspect of the game over the last couple of weeks, because there isn't really a physical part to have right now with pools closed and that sort of thing. So as you think about making Team USA and making the first roster and then making the subsequent rosters, was there a moment that kind of really gave you confidence, or that gave you a sense of belonging as you were working through that process, that maybe then fueled you to the next stop? Because it's different with the national team. You have to make each roster, so it's not like you make it for the year,
Yeah.
right? You're battling for every spot every time out.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Brian Alexander, he's our sports psychologist now, has really been doing a great job with everything that he's doing, kind of pointing us in the right direction and putting us where we need to be, hopefully to really explode and win a medal come 2021. But yeah, like you were saying, every time that you jump into a pool for training, you're competing for your spot, competing against guys next to you who obviously have the same goal, but obviously want to be on the team just as much as you do. And I remember, I think it was 2017 National League. So after the 2016 season with UCLA, we lost in the national semifinal to Cal. Yeah, it was like we had a couple weekends of National League, and for my first weekend National League didn't really do well at all. But then I remember just the second weekend going in there, like, okay, I'm just gonna try to do my best. Like, I'm just gonna give it my all. I don't know what's gonna happen. And played great that weekend. And the next weekend we had one more National League, continued to play well. And then I was Coach Dayon, sat down with Coach Dayon, and I was invited to the FINA Intercontinental in Gold Coast, Australia. So that was my first. Tournament with the men's senior team, and then from there, I just tried to just really give it everything I could. I mean, I just didn't care what I was doing when I was in the water. I just wanted to try to help our team win, just to try to be a productive member of the team, and I think that they really noticed that, and I continued to, like, make rosters from there. So.
And then as of late, you've added some experience in Europe, playing professionally for different clubs there. What's that experience been like, and how's that helped you become a better player?
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, I played last year. I mean, 2017 for the second half of the season because I redshirted my first year at UCLA. I played at Polo. So that was my first international experience, and that was absolutely eye-opening. I mean, just to play in a professional setting like that, where you're playing against grown men who like this is their livelihood is to play water polo. So just the level of focus and the level of intensity and competitiveness that's coming to every game is something that's difficult to replicate. So, I mean, that's something that I've definitely taken advantage of. And then these past 2 years in Greece, last year with Udrykos, and now this year again with Udrykos, but I'm playing with Alex Ober. And so, like, yeah, like I'm saying, one of the biggest things that I've really taken away is just it's been great to be able to commit solely to playing the game of water polo, you know, putting all my energy and effort into water polo, just training, working, growing, refueling, everything like that, and just trying to be a student of the game. And then, yeah, I just think that just immersion in water polo has been great for me and helped me really develop. And then playing with Alex Ober. I mean, Obert's a great player, and just being able to see the things that he can do firsthand from the center and then from the post and even outside shooting. I mean, he's a great player, really special player. So definitely grown my connection with him a lot. And so, I mean, the experience overseas has been great.
Talking with Max Irving from Team USA, also playing some international water polo abroad in Europe. The Olympics, we know they're postponed, summer 2021. You, like many Olympic hopefuls, were close, right? You're talking now just months away from what should be the start of the Olympic Games. Obviously a dream. How have you kind of internally processed having to push that dream back a year?
I mean, yeah, it's tough when you try to like you put yourself on a trajectory for like a 4 year trajectory, thinking that like this summer is going to be you're going to have to be at your physical peak, your mental peak, just playing your best water polo you ever have in your life. And so for that to be pushed back, it's obviously disappointing, but it's good to know that the USOC and the International Olympic Committee are prioritizing athletes' well-being and health, and like of the officials as well, of everyone involved. So I mean, it's great for that to happen, and I think that we should be able to, as a team, really use this year to really grow and develop. I mean, we're really kind of excited. I mean, we've been working tirelessly, even in this time that we're outside of the water, to try to give ourselves an edge, and I think the results will be exciting come a year from now.
I know everyone is very, very excited to get back to any sort of water polo competition, especially the Olympic Games a year from now in Tokyo, Japan. Talking with Max Irving, and we want to talk a bit about your start in the sport. We got a question here earlier about what club team you played for early, and you mentioned being at Long Beach, being a Long Beach native. Talking a bit about your family, right? Your parents not water polo players, but they were athletes in other sports. And I'm
Yeah.
curious how you gravitated to water polo and why that's the one that stood out for you.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a collegiate level basketball player. He played at Rice in Texas. Yeah, so he was a great player. I mean, I played basketball growing up a little bit, and then my mom was a swimmer. She swam much throughout her childhood. So we tried swimming when I was younger. I mean, I literally always loved the water. Always wanted to be in the water. Like some of my fondest, earliest memories were just me and my brothers and sisters messing around in my aunt's pool, just like growing up. So then my mom put us in a swim team. We were swimming at Seal Beach Swim Club at the Los Alamitos base where the girls team is actually training. So that's where I really started to have like a good foundation and feel for the water. And then, so I was swimming with Seal Beach Swim Club for like maybe my first 3 years of aquatics. And then after that, did like a little summer camp for water polo, and then just was really in love with it. And then I remember the coach just like one day, I didn't know about it at the time, but I would talk to my mom and said, he's actually got some pretty good natural ability. You might want to think about throwing him in clubs. So then that's what my mom did. We signed up for Long Beach Shore, and then we're just in love with the game. Loved going to training. I mean, yeah, just from that point forward, just kind of really took off.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talked about your parents playing other sports. You tried some other sports. You know, I'm curious your thoughts on. We talk a lot about sport specialization, right? Where you have to just decide from year 5 that you're going to be this, and you're
Yeah.
always going to play a certain sport. It sounds like maybe you benefited from trying a few other things before you settled on one specific thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I was really active as a kid. I was always doing everything. Like, I mean, another sport I love is hockey, for example. me and my friends, I would just go in his front yard. He had a goal. So, I mean, every day after school, we'd put on our skates, we'd have our sticks, we'd have our gloves and just go shoot around. I mean, so like the most, I think, important thing is just being able to have fun with sports, have fun with fitness. And then you'll kind of find, you'll kind of find where you really fit in the athletic world. And yeah, I think it's great. Good stuff.
Talking about Max Irving. If you have any questions for Max here, you can drop them in the comments. We'll get to those here shortly. Max is a member of Team USA, trying to make his way to his first Olympic Games. If you followed USA Water Polo leading up to Rio, the story of Ashley Johnson was everywhere, right? She made history, first African-American woman to represent the U.S. in women's water polo. I'm curious, your story has not been told as much as Ashley's, probably because you're working on your first Olympics, but does the idea of race in water polo come up a lot in your mind? Is it something that you think about? Does it mean something special to you? Not that we haven't had men of color from different ethnicities represent the USA national team, but for you, we know the sport is largely Caucasian. So what does it mean to you to be someone who's diverse in water polo and maybe serve as an example to other people the way Ashley has as well?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's obviously whenever you can represent a community, it should be held as an honor. And that's something I absolutely perceive it as an honor to be able to represent an African-American community. I mean, there have been other great players like Janai Kerr, who's played for the men's senior team, Ashley Johnson, who's doing great things for the women's team, like best goalkeeper, female goalkeeper in the world right now, maybe women's player. And yeah, so like when I'm placed into like a group with them, or I mean, it's great. And then I would just encourage everyone to play water polo. I mean, even though it is a predominantly white sport, you could say, I mean, the connections and the opportunities that I've had from playing water polo have like been anything I could have never been able to see this coming when I initially started playing water polo. I mean, from ODP to youth teams to traveling the world to then going on to play at UCLA and like finally with the senior team, maybe being able to represent my country at the Olympic Games. I mean, it's really awesome stuff. So it's something that, I mean, I would absolutely encourage people to play water polo from all walks of life. I mean, and then, yeah, the relationships that I've been able to like maintain and the relationships that have flourished from playing water polo have just been unbelievable. And they're really lifelong relationships. So, I mean, it's very safe to say that I wouldn't be where I am today and I wouldn't be the person I am today without water polo. So, I mean,
You know, it's interesting, and Ashley's told this story too of kind of coming up early in life and not thinking that anything was different, right? Her and her siblings were always playing these sports, so it didn't dawn on her until down the road that she was obviously she knew what color she was, right? But she was different in the sport, and then it became a thing where she realized she could serve as like a positive role model, right?
Yeah.
And she started hearing from kids that would tell her, "Wow, now I know, thanks to you." I'm curious if you've, as you advance through your water polo career, did you have any moments like that? Has that dawned on you more as you've become a bigger name in the sport?
I mean, yeah, this is just something I've heard from Jesse Smith, but like, I guess he was saying like a lot of the kids, like the ODP, they feel like they've really been inspired by like me and then Johnny Hooper. I mean, not even maybe for a race, but just to see like smaller guys who maybe don't fit the typical water polo player, big, strong, throw the ball hard mold, that if you just continue to commit to continuing to grow and develop and let your craft flourish, that you can really do a lot of special things.
Talking about Max Irving here, looking at a few of the questions. It looks like your good pal Alex Obert has wanted to chime in here. Best roommate you've ever lived with. It doesn't have to be Alex. Just because he's here, you could pick someone totally different.
Roommate I've ever lived with. I mean, Obert's pretty good. I'm gonna say Obert. Obert's like my most recent roommate besides my sister here. I'm like, yeah. I'm like jumping into her Zoom calls.
Just give her the dirty look.
Yeah, she's getting so mad at me here. But yeah, I mean, Obert's a great roommate. He draws a ton of penalties for me. So, I mean, just in terms of like goal productivity, Obert's been great.
Jack Rover's been in the comments. We have to give Jack some love. What's the scouting report on Jack Rover? If you remember his game in the pool,
man, Jack Rover is an absolute competitor. I mean, this guy will do anything and everything in his power to win. I mean, he's as fast as anybody. He can shoot the ball well from the right side. I mean, he can really do it all. He's actually playing overseas in Spain too, so he's doing great. Great player.
Toughest player you've ever had to guard?
Um, I would say like you think about guys like Varga who are really good and who have been good and who have been like established in the game for so long for all these Olympics and just all these world championships and who have like competed and won medals at a high level. So Varga's a name that comes to mind. And then, I mean, even guys on our team, when you think about like Luca Cupido, he's like one of the guys, even like best, maybe he's up there, like top two, top three in the world at holding the 6 meter foul line and taking 6 meter foul shots. So, I mean, Luca's great. And then when you think about speed, guys like DeFulio, who just have absolutely wheels, who can just go at any point in time and just really get down the pool fast, like are obviously going to be tough to guard. And then even Johnny Hooper, another guy who just absolutely explosive, crazy fast, crazy sprint speed, and with great finishing inside. So, I mean, there's just a few players that come to mind.
And then that always leads into the toughest goalie you've ever had to deal with, or toughest goalie to score
Um, I would say actually Soro was pretty good for Brazil in Pan Am's this past this past summer in
on.
2017. Yeah. So yeah, Soro, I mean 2020. So yeah, Soro was actually pretty good goalkeeper. I mean, Vioch at in Croatia is really good as well. And yeah, so I would say those two top goalkeepers.
Next question here from Tom Trav. Best moment in your collegiate career?
I would say that's my cousin too, by the way. Shout out, good to have her here in the live. But I would say winning the national championship senior year 2017. I mean, it was pretty sweet to be able to win at SC, and it's also really awesome to be able to continue to play with some of those guys that I was competing against in that game. You know, so like Marko Vavic, Earhart, yeah, those guys. So I mean, it's great to be able to compete with them and competing, as I know they're tough, fierce competitors because I played against them and battled against them for many years.
Jason asks just how are you both international and playing for USA Water Polo? Just to clear that up, many athletes play both, right?
Yeah, so the Team USA season, the international water polo season is it usually goes over the summer months. So you'll start up in June, might have a championship in July, and then, for example, like the Olympic Games this summer was going to be July, like late July through early August, and then the club, like the international club season, is going to start in September, or like late August, early September is when you're going to start training, and then your season really picks up mid-September, and then you go all the way through early May. So you'll have a break for Christmas, and then so it's about 3 months from September, no, like 8 months from September to May, and then you're playing internationally with your national team over the summer. So this season's.
Sorry, we had this made me think of a question. You're talking about club. We had Gavin Arroyo on yesterday. He played in Europe, played in Greece, and he was talking about some of the most intense places he ever played were some of those club games in Europe. And it made me think, in your memory, is there, or maybe it was a UCLA USC game or something else, but is there like a memory of like your most, I guess, intense water polo match where the crowd, all of it was just wild together?
Yeah, I would say my first game actually when I was in Napoli, in Italy at Posilipo, was a crazy intense game. It was like essentially the UCLA USC equivalent of Napoli. It was Posilipo's versus CN Napoli. So like both teams are in Napoli, and it was completely like really big Scandoni pool. It's where they actually had the World University Games this past summer.
Yeah, in 2019.
World Championships. Yeah, so 2019. So yeah, it was at that pool. It was pretty much completely full, and I just remember the intensity of that game was crazy. Like guys on the other team were yelling at our coach, and our coach was like literally threatening to fight guys in the water. So I mean, it was really intense. So yeah, these games overseas definitely get tense.
A few more questions here. Eric asked your biggest academic accomplishments if you think back to your school days.
Yeah, something that sticks out to me was Poli-Sci 6. It's like a statistics political science class. And in that class, me and one of my former teammates, James Robinson, we had a final project, and we worked together on this final project. And we just went into the teacher's office hours pretty much every other day for like 4 or 5 weeks to just really nail down this project and to really learn about, like, I don't know if you know the program, but RStudio. It's just this it's like a statistic graph making program, and then where you can interpret data sets and make data sets do exactly what you want and kind of interpret them into charts. So James and I, we got like a 96% on our final exam and then got an A in the class. So like, I mean, that was something that was really awesome. And I still try to use RStudio today. Really cool program.
Nice, and thank you, Eric. I think that was our first academic question of all time in an
Oh yeah.
Instagram. So I appreciate that one coming through. Water polo chef Chris Vidal wants to know Lakers or Clippers, and explain your answer.
Lakers all the way.
Lakers all the way.
Yeah, tradition. Big on
Tradition.
tradition here.
Did your dad ever get close to playing pros?
No, my dad's I mean, he was closer for sure and to officiate professional. I mean, he's a NCAA official now. So like does March Madness tournament, conference
Nice.
tournaments, everything like that. So I mean, he was a lot closer at officiating the NBA than playing, but still.
So having a
It's
having a dad for a ref, how much respect do you have for water polo referees? There must be extra respect for officials since your dad's one.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Always gotta have respect for officials. I mean, ultimately, they're the ones that who are going to control your game. I mean, you can try to do what you want, say what you want, but they're kind of like the end all be all. So, absolutely got to
Uh,
respect.
let's see a few more questions here. They're starting to come in late. Jack with a very insightful question here. What
Yeah,
are
Jack. Yeah,
what are
that
some of
was
the
a thoughtful question. Definitely.
differences between club, college, national team? Any difficulty adjusting to those? And then he also threw any language barriers.
Yeah, so difference between playing club and college, I mean, that's a big jump in itself because playing club, I mean, everyone's pretty much playing club. Everyone's pretty much playing high school. When you're like pretty good in club and high school, you kind of feel like a big fish in a small pond. But then when you make that jump to college, I mean, it's a pretty significant jump. Like you're playing with guys who are going to be 4 years older than you, guys who have been training at this high of a level for 4 years, and you're just immediately thrown right into that. And I mean, at least at UCLA, for example, I know I've seen some of the other schools, like if you can play, they want you to play right away. So just being able to make that jump and make that adjustment, that's a big step right there. And then between college and national team, I mean, then that's another huge step. Like if people think college or high school to college is a step, college to the national team scene is it's a massive step. I mean, you're just playing with like these guys' livelihood, guys who have been playing in the Champions League for longer than you've been in college, guys who have been to Olympic semifinals, won Olympic crossover games, scored big goals in big games against the best goalkeeper in the world. And then when you're going to come in, like a guy they haven't seen before, they're going to try to do everything in their power to make you feel uncomfortable, make it tough on you. And you have to prove that you're, able to be out there and that you should be out there and that you can hang with them at that level.
A few more good questions coming in here. We got to take a question from one of the all-time greats, Brenda Villa. Coaching difference between a European team and college coaching.
Yeah. Okay. So with college coaches, it's a lot more of an emphasis on tactics. They're really trying to work through everything. So if this team does this, we're going to do this. If this team runs a 2-3 with position 4 splitting, in college, you might say, yeah, position 4 is going to drive, and you kind of know exactly what you're going to do. So there's a lot more emphasis in the college level and in high school level upon tactics. But then when you start getting to the international level and the national team level, the focus is going to be a lot more on technical details and just being able to really build upon the technical details that you already have. And because they're kind of assuming that you have a certain level of knowledge for the game. So you might not work as much of tactics in training because it just shouldn't be necessary at that level when you're a professional or you're an international level player. So yeah, I would say that's one of the main differences between the college and international and national level.
Just a few more questions here from Max Irving, and this is something we talked about at the beginning, but just in case we had some people late joining us, Tyler asks a good question here. In your opinion, what was the most important thing you did to get where you are today in water polo?
I would have to say, I mean, it's really tough because it kind of sucks to do, but I did swim team for 4 years when I was in high school. So I was playing water polo in the fall, and then in the spring, I did swim team for 4 years. I mean, it's pretty brutal just knowing that you have to jump in the pool and just be staring at the black line for 2.5 hours. But like that foundation of swimming is something that will be able to make you competitive and really will help you make rosters no matter where it will be. If you can swim and the coach knows that you're not going to be a liability in the game to give up counter goals I mean, the coach will just be able to have a little bit of trust and some peace of mind in you, with you. So that's what I think.
Excellent. And then just one more for you, Max. I know it's a year away now, but have you thought about it? Do you ever daydream about what it might be like to walk out with Team USA in the opening ceremony, to play in that first game? Ever give any thought to what that might be like in your imagination?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I definitely think about. And I mean, it's obviously going to be an honor to represent my country. And once I make that, or if I make that team, I don't only want to make the Olympics. Like, my goal is not just to make the Olympics, but to actually go to the Olympics and actually perform well. Because in my mind, I mean, there's no point of going to the Olympics and then not doing anything or not performing. So my whole focus is really upon like making the Olympics, and then but then that's just one step. You have to make the Olympics, and then you have to perform. And I want to be able, when I like when and if I make the Olympics, to perform at a high level, to contribute to my team, to be a productive member for my team. So that's kind of like where my focus is, thinking about like that first game, walking out for Team USA.
Max Irving, always good to talk with you. Really appreciate you taking some time, sharing your journey here from Long Beach all the way around the
Cool.
world and back again.
Yep.
And we'll see you hopefully at a pool soon. Enjoy the rest of your remote training, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, definitely, Greg. Thank you for having me.